Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to use PowerSchool from your Chromebook or computer. The first thing that you're going to want to do is go to the Southeast Junior High homepage. And once you are there, I would recommend that you go ahead and bookmark this website or our homepage because you will use this on a regular basis. It has lots of great resources and links to different things you will use regularly. Once you are at the Southeast Junior High homepage, if you would scroll down, you're going to see a section that is titled Popular Links. Then you are going to come down here under Popular Links and click on PowerSchool. That's going to take you to this sign-in page, whether you are a student or a parent. Just a reminder that as a student, you obviously have your login information for PowerSchool, but parents can also log into PowerSchool to see how you are doing. So once you are here at this page, you're going to go ahead and type in your username and your password into those two fields. Once you log in, it should take you to a screen that looks very similar to the one here that I have up. Now, because it's the beginning of the year and the beginning of the trimester, when you first log on, your screen will probably show this, and there's no information in here. As you can see, these boxes are empty, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The first thing that you're going to want to look at is your schedule here. This is your default screen, so every time you open up PowerSchool, it will come to this screen. So this particular student can see what their schedule is for trimester 1 and who their teachers are. Now, if any time this particular student wanted to email one of their teachers, they could just click here on the teacher's name. This is a hyperlink. And once they click on that, it will take them to an email box where they can send Mr. Skay, for an example, an email. The other thing that you'll use on this screen is to look up your attendance. So we have a category for total absences and total tardies within the trimester, as you can see here. So this student, if they started to accumulate absences or tardies, these numbers would go up and would show how many tardies and absences that they have. Attendance is extremely important for your success here at Southeast, so we want to see those absences and tardies as low as possible. If you do get into a situation where you have a lot of absences or you have increased tardies, you will be visited with about that and trying to problem solve because we will be following up on your attendance. Now, what I'm going to do now is take you to a actually different school or different student screen so we can see what it looks like when you actually have a grade, which is really important to look at, entered here. All right, so I pulled up a student schedule from trimester 3 of last year, so you can see now what some of these fields look like now that they're actually populated with real numbers. So again, here's the student schedule, and I'm looking at the trimester 3 grades of this student. So as you can see, there are grades listed for all of the core classes and their electives for how they are doing currently in those classes. Now, as you can see, this student's doing really well, and that's great. The other thing now the student can look and see is the number of tardies they have. So this particular student was tardy 1 time to Miss Kopecki's Global Studies. They were tardy 0 times to Miss Salter's Literacy. And then you can also see absences here. So this particular student was absent 10 times to Mr. Keller-Wilson's Language Arts class. Now that might be because they had appointments in the morning or other things, and that's why you'll see different numbers for different periods, because sometimes you might have to leave during the day for an orthodontist appointment or maybe towards the end of the day for athletics. So that's why those numbers might look different. Now, if this student wanted to know more about their A in Mr. Keller-Wilson's class, they're going to go ahead and come over here to the blue A, and the percentage is 94, and they're going to click on that A. Now, once they click on that A, it's going to pull up this next screen that shows us a list of every single assignment, quiz, project, classwork that Mr. Keller-Wilson graded and put into PowerSchool. So as you can see here, this student, you can see their scores for each of the assignments. So a 17 out of 20 on the annotations assignment. This student got a 28 out of 28 on their Poetry Terms 2 quiz. This student got a 10 out of 10 on their Shelter House notes. And then the student, you'll see, doesn't have a score in for a couple of these things. So this says second parent email and proposal. So those were items that Mr. Keller-Wilson decided to check to see, like, oh, did the student get their parent email sent? Oh, they did. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just give them a check in the grade book. It's not necessarily worth any points. Now, when a student comes to this layout of all the different things that are in the gradebook for PowerSchool, they can start to see where there might be some issues. Now, if this student started to have some zeros in the gradebook, like a 0 out of 7 or a 0 out of 10, they would know that those assignments may be missing or not put into PowerSchool. So that's when you'd want to have a conversation with your teacher about, hey, I noticed I had a 0 out of 10 on my shelter house notes. I thought I turned that in. Did I not? Maybe you didn't put your name on it. Simple things like that. But once you start to see that things are missing in the gradebook, that is a red flag to you that you need to start having a conversation with your teacher about what's going on in that particular class. So for example, same student here, and you can see I've now gone to their math. I clicked on their math grade. Even though their math grade was an A, they also have some missing assignments here. So these little exclamation marks are a good indicator to you that something's going on. So this particular student has several missing assignments or assignments that they did not turn in. You'll see they were scored a 0 out of 2. And that exclamation mark means that the student never turned them in. According to the teacher, they were never turned in. So when you start to see that, that's a red flag as well that, hey, I need to have that conversation with my teacher about these missing assignments, and I need to get these turned in. Down here at the very bottom, once you've clicked on a grade, you can see what the different symbols mean. So we talked about the collected. That just means a teacher collects it, but it's not worth points. If you see the red clock, that means that you turned the assignment in, but you turned it in late. So as we were talking about those symbols, the missing is that exclamation mark right there that you see. So that means that the teacher has indicated that you have not turned it in, but you still can and still should turn that assignment in. If you see this purple here, that means it's exempt from the final grade. So that could just be an assignment that the teacher collected earlier and graded, but then decided they didn't want to put it in your final grade. Or it could be that maybe you were gone for an extended period of time, and so those assignments, they're just not going to grade you on. There's different reasons why teachers might use that purple. If you see a little chair, that means that you were absent, and so that might be indicating why you don't have a score in or why it could be missing. So you can talk to your teacher about that if you see that absent sign. This half blue circle means it was incomplete. So it sounds like this student turned in a math assignment. They got a 1 out of 2 with an incomplete. I'm guessing they probably only did about half the questions or maybe only a certain amount. They didn't finish the assignment completely. So they were given an incomplete. If you see a little star kind of symbol there, that means it's excluded. So again, that just might be something that the teacher decided to not grade for you or not put in the grade book at any particular time. So some key takeaways, just a reminder, is that you need to make sure that you can get into PowerSchool, that your username and login works, that you're checking PowerSchool on a regular basis, that you are checking your grades by clicking on that grade once you're on the home screen, and you're looking for things like this, these symbols that indicate that something's going on, something hasn't been turned in correctly, or I need to have that conversation with my teacher about my grade. And again, lastly, you're looking also at your attendance. How are my absences? How are my tardies during this part of the trimester?